Prime Minister says he is closely monitoring developments in Russia, where President Vladimir Putin reasserted control after the Wagner Group's brief immunity. Anthony Albanese says the short-lived coup showed Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine had sparked internal conflict. Joining me now live is co-chair of the Australian Federation of Ukrainian Organisations, Stefan Romaniw. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. What does this brief immunity mean for the war? Has it helped Ukraine at all?
Thanks for having us. Can I just quickly say also condolences to Simon Green's family. He had a relationship with the Ukrainian community during his time of office, so our condolences. What's happened, let's use a couple of metaphors. You can fool some of the people some of the time, you can't fool all the people all the time. All the thing that's happened over this weekend is that Putin's partner in crime, the head of the Wagner Group, has just exposed Putin again. Remember, earlier on in the piece, the little green men, it wasn't the Russians. Is it a Russian invasion? No, it's not a Russian invasion. Is it a Russian war? No, it's not a Russian war. What we've seen now is he's been exposed again by his own people. And let's just compare that to President Zelensky. Again, using another metaphor, keep your eye on the ball and on the man. Over the weekend, President Zelensky kept his eye on the ball. In other words, there is a war and they will continue with this offensive. What does it mean for Putin? I think the international community has now shown he's totally weakened, he's scared, he's humiliated. We understand that allegedly he's moving his Minister for Defence, bringing in a close ally, one of his bodyguards previously. So I think he's in a very, very vulnerable situation. But again, we can monitor this as much as we like. This is an opportunity. This is a window of opportunity. We have spring, we have summer. If the offensive is on, therefore our call to the Australian government, and we wrote to the Prime Minister, the Minister Miles and Minister Wong over the weekend, what we need is the Australian support, and we need it now as an international community. This is the time for the international community to stop talking. We need action. We need it now. What happened over the weekend is another example. For example, Russians got a bit of a taste of their own. The fact is, Ukrainians every day are under missiles. They're scared. Have a look what happened in those couple of cities. The Russians started to look for cover. So they've got a bit of their own. But we're focused. There's an offensive. We're focused on Ukraine. There's a war. We're calling on the world. It is now time. Give us the tools. We'll do the job.
Well, what sort of an impact do you think that the situation in Russia currently will have here in Australia?
Well, I think the issue is the Australian government and the Australian people have seen the war for what it is. I don't see it's going to change anything in terms of perception. What should change is the speed with which support has to be given. I think the Australian public from day one understood what this was. This was a Russian invasion. This was trying to take away sovereignty. This was breaking all the international rules. And we now have war criminals. Putin and the head of the Wagner Group and the people, they're both war criminals. So last night there was, I think on Sky, there was a bit of a story about some of the situations and will there ever be normal relations? There'll only be normal relations when every Russian boot is out of Ukraine and the war criminals are brought to the international courts. This is a situation now, it's a vulnerable situation in Moscow and in Russia. As far as Putin is concerned, I would be very, very worried if I was him because the people around him are now worried. I just want to make one other point. Understand that in Russia, 3% of people own all Russian assets. They're all Putin's friends. Their assets under the Magnitsky Act and other acts, they're now being seized. So he is in a very, very vulnerable position, not only in terms of the war, but, those gluttons who kept on robbing the Russian people and their assets, they're all worried as well. They're all the people who've been supporting him to day one. I think he's in a very vulnerable position. And I think the international community now has to say, this is the time we have to act. You have to look at every opportunity, and this is an opportunity to act. He's vulnerable. The people around him are after him. This business with Belarus and sending the head of the Wagner Group over there, let's just wait. Let's see whether the head of the Wagner Group falls out of a window or gets poisoned or all of a sudden happens to commit suicide. That's the way. Keep in mind, there's about 30 people close to Putin who have ended their lives in this way. So I think watch this space. But I think from Ukraine's point of view, Zelensky, what's the difference between Zelensky and Putin? When the war started, people said to Zelensky, leave. He said, no, give me bullets, not airline tickets. Allegedly, what did Putin do? He ran. He's humiliated. He's gutless. He's a liar. He's been exposed. And
Yeah.
can I just, another thing, this is the time now for the Australian government to act on the ambassador of Russia, Pavlovsky. We have been calling for his expulsion for months. He is the person who's been lying to the Australian public, who will tomorrow get out and say this is, again, all fabricated. We now have the testing of the law case in terms of the embassy, etc. He needs to be expelled as other diplomats. That will send a very, very strong message. We sent a very strong message recently, St. Petersburg and Melbourne City Council. We have to break all those ties.
Well, look, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, and particularly if there is more to come in Russia internally. But we will wait to see. Stefan, Romaniw, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.